Today I'm going to show you some bubble fun activities. So first we're going to start with bubbles. We're going to paint with bubbles. So these are the things that you need. You need some paint in little containers or plastic bowls. You can use tempera paint, powder, or you can use the liquid paint. So I have blue. Can you guess what color this is? Green. And they call this purple, but I call it magenta. It's like a light pink. And you also need water, some Dawn dish soap, and then a straw. And for the grown-ups, you need a push pin. If you make a hole in the top of your push pin where the kids are going to blow from, right through the straw, it prevents the bubbles from coming up and the kids sucking them in. So this is what you have to do. Oh, you also need a piece of thick cardstock or cardboard. An empty box would work that you have left over. So you need to pour some water, a little bit of water, in each of your paint colors, just enough to loosen it up. And then you also need to do 1 squirt of dish soap in each of them. And then you're going to want to stir it up, and I'm going to use my straw to stir it up, but you could use a spoon. Mix it all together. Make sure that the soap gets dissolved. And you'll know that because it makes some bubbles when you swish the soap around. And then you're going to blow bubbles. I don't know if you can see that. And then you're going to take those bubbles and you're going to paint with them. I'm going to try with this one. Really cool impression on your paper. If you want the colors to be darker, you can add a little bit of food coloring to your paint, because sometimes tempera paint isn't very dark. So now I'm going to show you how to make some bubble wands so that when we make our bubble solution, we can go outside and play with them. So these are some fun ones. I made these ones. So what you'll need for these are some beads. You'll need pipe cleaners. And they're pretty easy to put together. So you need to start with 1 bead at the bottom and tie it down so that the other beads don't fall off. And then you're going to string it. Or you're going to use the pipe cleaner and put your beads on it. You can count the beads, you can make a pattern, or you can just do random. And this is so that you can hold on to something and your hands don't get so sticky. And then when you're all done putting beads almost to the top, but not right to the top, because we have to add a shape on it. And then I used geometric shapes, but you can do whatever you want. So you can make hearts, you can make diamonds. I made a circle and triangle. So then I took another pipe cleaner and I made a circle with it. And then I attached it to my beads. And I have a homemade bubble wand. And there's all different ones that you can make. There's a circle, a heart, a triangle, and these work great. If you don't want to do that, the next one you can make is a sock or bubble snake. So what you need is a water bottle. So go to your recycling bin, grab a water bottle, get a grown-up to help you cut it in half or take the bottom off. You need a rubber band and you need a sock, preferably not a stinky sock. And what you're going to do is get your grown-up to help you again, and you're going to cut that sock off because you just need the toe part, the toe and heel part. If you don't have an extra sock at home, you can use a piece of material too. It's easier with a sock though. So you just kind of put the sock on the end of your water bottle, and then you just wrap your rubber band a few times around it. And look, we have a bubble snake. That'll help us with our bubbles when we go outside. Now I'm going to show you how to make some bubble recipes. This one's called the giant bubble recipe. It makes big bubbles, but it also makes a lot so that you can keep it for the week and play with it in your backyard. So what you need is 12 cups of water. That's a lot of cups of water. And I'm doing it in one of these jugs that I got because it has a spout. So every time I need some bubbles, I can just take my little cup and go and get some bubbles out of it. So I've started with 8 cups already in here. And then we're going to pour some more in there. So I need, how many more cups? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I need 4 more cups of water. And that's what this big measuring cups is 4 cups of water. So I'm going to pour that in there. And then we also need to have some dish soap. So we need 1 cup of dish soap. Squirt it in there. It takes a lot of dish soap, but it makes a lot of bubbles. You'll have fun with this all week long. So you're going to pour your dish soap in there. And if you get blue Dawn dish soap, it turns your bubbles blue too. And then you also need to have a cup of cornstarch. And cornstarch can get messy, so you need a cloth around. And I'm going to use a funnel for this part. We're going to put 1 cup of cornstarch in there. And cornstarch is going to help make it last a long time. And it's also going to help us thicken our bubbles up so that we get nice big bubbles that will last a long time. Oh, like I said, it gets messy. So you're going to pour that in there. Make sure it all goes down. You might need to use your spoon to help it. Also need 2 tablespoons of baking powder, sorry, not soda. And you're going to put those in there, that in there. 2 scoops, 1, 2, and then get your spoon and stir it all up. And then you have to let this stand or sit for 1 hour before you can use it. So I'm going to show you one more bubble recipe, and this one's my favorite. So you need 1 cup of warm water, and you need it to be warm because you also need to have 1 teaspoon of sugar, white sugar, and you're going to put it in there in your warm water, and you're going to stir it up until it's all dissolved. And then when it's all dissolved, you need 2 tablespoons of your dish soap. That's 1, 2, and then you're going to stir that all up until it's dissolved again. And it's going to make bubbles again. And then this one uses glycerin. Glycerin is easy to find at your drugstore. It's usually with the first aid stuff. And this is what's going to help us make long-lasting big bubbles. So you need 1 tablespoon of that. and you're going to pour that in. Stir that all up. Now we have 2 awesome bubble mixtures. We're going to go outside and blow some bubbles. Now we're outside and we're going to try out some of those bubble solutions we made. And I got my friend Debbie to help me do that. So the first bubble solution we made, we had to let sit for an hour. So we did that, and she's going to use the bubble sock to make bubbles. Let's see if it works. Okay, go. Oh, so cool. Look at that. Let's try to go longer. So the bubble sock makes foamy kind of bubbles. And then remember we made the other one with the glycerin? So let's try our wands with that one. Oops. Lots on there. And then here's just the basic bubble wand that comes. And then if you don't have any of that stuff, you can use a fly swatter. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next time.